sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. He said, tomorrow is another day, living is the only way tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
Greetings and welcome to the next episode of A Sip of Inspiration podcast. My guest for today's show is Miranda Wilkerson, who is a registered nurse and a sexuality coach. She is a surgical registered nurse at the Level 1 Trauma Center by day, sexuality coach at night. So you know we're talking to a heavyweight now. So she is going to guide us through today her role as a sexuality coach, and she's going to talk about her Likes program for couples, which focuses on love, intimacy, kinks, eroticism, and seduction. So welcome, Miranda. I love the fact that you have agreed to talk to us today. I know this is going to be incredibly exciting. We have ventured into sexuality before. And I think that is a topic that we need to talk about often, because I said as we were briefing for this, there are two things that we don't ever talk about that actually are running our lives. One of them is how we handle money and how we think about money, and how we handle our sexuality and how we think about it. So today we're going to talk about the sexuality piece. So welcome.
Hello. How are you doing? Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe out there, inside, in the warm, not in the cold.
I don't know. This is winter in Chicago, so safe we can probably do. I don't know about warm, but safe we can probably do.
Yes, absolutely. How are you feeling?
Okay, so why don't you start off telling us a little bit about you, how you got started in this, and how people can contact you so that they don't forget that part of that, because that's one of the most important parts of the show, so they can follow up with you after the show.
Okay. So hi, everybody. I am Miranda. And as she said, I'm a registered nurse by day and a sexuality coach at night. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason why I went into sexuality coaching is because this is one subject, one big topic that us as adults do not talk about. It's so still considered taboo, even though, the times are changing, but still, I would say like in our age group and older, we are still very tight-lipped about talking about sex and sexuality. This is something that I've always been into for myself. This is something I always research. And so when I saw that there was a program for it, I jumped at it and got certified in sexuality coaching. And here I am. It's actually one of my favorite things to do and to talk about it. So it always makes for great conversations at the table.
You're the one person they really want to see at the table, right? Is Miranda coming? Is Miranda coming to the party?
Yes. They're always asking questions. And it's so funny. And even like at work, like I could be at work and all of a sudden, like we're talking and then a person will like slip in something. They're like, so, and I find it very amusing because, of course, it's done in private and stuff. But it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad that you're taking interest in your own sex and your sex life. So, but still, I do feel like we are highly undereducated, even for adults in sex and sexuality. And I want to be the one to change it. I want to educate so many people about it.
Fantastic. I got some questions, It's like we dug up some questions for you. I just need to do one little check. So one bit of housekeeping. So for those of you who are watching, if you post your questions in the chat box for the watch party that's been started, and there's several, I will get those questions text to me so that we can ask Miranda to answer those questions for us. Now remember, this is a broad brush at it. So if you have things that maybe are better discussed in private, please give Miranda a call and she will set up an appointment for you. So let's get started. So why has sex become so complex?
Well, the reason why sex is so complex, honestly, is because it starts as when we're children. The parent that runs and stops their child if they catch their child grabbing her penis, or the little girl that touches herself. Mommy and daddy's like, oh no, don't do that. So at a very young age, that is ingrained in us, like, don't touch yourself. And you really don't have parents in the household that's really talking about it. You get the basics of sex in sex education, what's left of it, but not as much as we need. And then another big thing is cultures, religion. All of these things play a part in who we are as individuals. And so that's why sex is so complex, because we have so many different opinions that have came from other people, our peers, our parents, our pastors, our teachers, so we have all these things that we have been taught, and now we reach a certain point and it's like, okay, what do I really want? What do I really like?
Have you seen that maybe in the younger generation, there's been more willingness to experiment?
Oh yes, the millennials, they are a lot more free. They're not afraid to take risks. Now, of course, I would hope that they're, taking risk in a healthy way, but they are not afraid, and they are not letting society standards stop them. And so this is why I really like the millennials, because they are pushing the limits like no other. Back before, where especially as African Americans, we wouldn't push limits, we would kind of stay more contained.
So what when they take the risk in a healthy way, what are some examples of how to be healthy when you take risk with your sex in your sexuality, in the sexual part of your life?
One main thing is responsibility, respect and responsibility. When you, well, and that comes with self-love. So when you self-love, you have self-respect for yourself. And when you have the self-respect, you are not going to take the chance of risky sex, meaning having sex without condoms. And as a woman who is very responsible and respects herself, she will be the one that will come prepared herself. She's not expecting a man to just carry the condom. She's like, look, I may get some. I'm going to stop off at the store and I'm going to give me a couple of condoms. I'm going to have them in my purse just in case anything get busy. But I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to be safe about it.
Fantastic. So remember that everyone needs to prepare for their safety. What's considered normal sex?
Normal sex is safe sex. When I think of normal sex, I think of man and woman in the bedroom, missionary style. The woman is laying there not really saying too much, and the guy is, he's having his fun, and the woman is leaving without any orgasms, and it's just regular vanilla sex, as I call it.
That sounds like a mistake. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh no, it is.
So one question I have, and one question's, you see it on all of the movies, Think Like a Man and all of that. So at what point in the relationship should sex occur?
Sex should occur, first of all, after you two have known each other. Well, first of all, when it comes to, you are two consenting individuals. So there is no set time of when to have sex, regardless if you want to have sex, in the very early on, in the first week, first month. It's really up to the two individuals. But what makes the decision important is after you have talked about it. if you really want a good sexual relationship and chemistry with that person, you should talk about it. Find out the likes and the dislikes about sex. You know, just as if you talk about their career, you could talk about sex when you feel comfortable. But once you feel comfortable and your partner feels comfortable, then have at it. But I'm not going to say, oh no, don't have sex the whole 90 days type thing. No, I'm not going to say that. It's when you and the partner feels ready.
May feel ready. Okay, so, and you did say the key was consenting adults too. So let's make sure that people know that there is a level of respect and for healthy sex. She did say that part. Okay, so I don't want anybody to get carried away. So, and
you know they'll take it and run with it.
oh yeah, and then they'll be blaming it on us later because it didn't work out too well. You know, you made your move too soon. She stabbed you. It's like, what can I say? Okay, so let's don't do that. So, and so in sex though, how important is foreplay? And when does it begin? Yeah.
Foreplay is so important. Great sex starts with great foreplay. And I'm gonna tell you something about foreplay. Some people like to rush through foreplay. Foreplay really needs to linger on for a good 20, 30 minutes. And I know some people may say, wait a minute, that was a long time for foreplay.
But, right.
Like, you know, wait for the weekend when you got some time. But foreplay really should be something that you're focused on, because it's the foreplay that what counts. By the time you start having sex and you orgasm, it's already a wrap. It's already done. But what's done prior to that is what is really important. So the touching, the kissing, the feeling, the rubbing, the hugging, everything that goes along with it, that is what makes great sex.
Okay, so touching, feeling, hugging. What about conversation during foreplay?
Oh yeah, definite conversation, whispering in the ear, and men do like that. Men like if you whisper in the ear. Women like to be whispered in their ear. Talk about, you know, some of your fantasy. Tell them where you want to be touched. Anything that comes to mind that helps you just to open up. Share this with your partner at that moment, because this is the glue. So you have the foundation, the sex is the cement. This is what's going to, you know, the sex and the intimacy is what really keeps you bonded together. You need that one-on-one skin contact and touch. So it's extremely important in relationships.
So what about people who say they don't know what to say? Are there websites they can go to figure out what to say?
Well, you know, that is funny, because I actually had found a website, and I cannot think of the name, but I found the website that had all of these different sexual verbiage that you could use inside the bedroom. But basically, it's not easy to get started. So you can kind of get started through text. So light flirting, light sexting, you know, the thoughts that come to your mind, explore through text, because you're not verbally having to say it. And then watch your partner's response. And when they respond, you see that they really get at it, then start small, you know, start with the moaning, use your voice, use it. And when you orgasm, let it out. As you get more comfortable with just moaning, say right there, or this feels good, harder, slower, you know, short words like that, until the point to where you and your partner can have a open dialect, and basically just be able to explain and express yourself throughout the whole act.
Okay. So how important is masturbation in a relationship? Is it healthy?
Oh, this is very healthy. And masturbation actually starts off when we are young. But of course, like I said, there's the stigma of don't touch yourself. And, you know, as you're younger, masturbation is a sin, depending on what religion you are with. But it's extremely important, because what happens is when you do not masturbate, when you do not actually take the time to learn your body, you actually end up doing yourself a disservice when you come joined with your partner and you're expecting your partner to lead you to the full satisfaction of fulfillment. And then when they don't, or you leave left unsatisfied, then you're feeling like, well, this person didn't do it for me. They had bad sex. But is it that they had bad sex, or is it that you don't know yourself? And when you don't know yourself, you can't fully understand the way your body works. So masturbation is extremely important, and it never gets old. Like from young until we're gone, it never gets old. It's something that should always be practiced.
So, in your studies, are there countries that are more liberal in the sexual practice than others? And if so, where does the U.S. fall?
Yes, I have to say, in Europe, Europeans are a lot more open with their sexuality. Greece is huge for open sexuality. Actually, when I was looking at like different countries,
Mhm.
Greece, I believe that 89% of the people actually have sex weekly, adults, at least once a week, which is, in comparison for the US, I think ranged at like 69% of couples that actually have sex once a week. And 69%, as many people as in the world, it's okay, but you will want that number to be a lot higher. So that shows you how many individuals are not having sex, or couples are in relationships that are not having sex. But yes, Europeans are definitely big in sex and sexuality. Brazil is big in sex and sexuality. Mexico. Then, of course, your Middle Eastern countries are definitely on the low end, not having sex. Like, no. And you know what? Actually, Japan is actually having a big problem with it too. They're not having sex either, which I found so surprising. But Japan is not having sex.
Okay, so
No.
don't move to Japan or the Middle East if you want to have sex. Okay, and the U.S. could improve. All right.
The U.S. can definitely approve.
Now,
Yes.
as a sexuality coach, you developed a program called Likes, Likes. So tell us about the Likes program. So it focuses on love, intimacy, kinks, eroticism, and seduction.
Yes. I had developed the Likes program because these are the building blocks in a relationship. Okay, you got the trust and the communication. That's always the big factor in a relationship. I don't want to say nobody, but people don't really focus on that, the sex and the intimacy part of it. So when you combine them all together, your love and your intimacy, involving your kinks, your eroticism and seduction, this is what keeps the relationships thriving. And so with that, when I counsel couples and they come to me, the one thing I really want to know is, how tight are they in the relationship? How is your love? What does your love factor look like? Because if that's solid, then we can go. But if that's not solid and that's still rocky, then no matter how much sex you're having, it's not going to work in a relationship. But for our couples that have been married 10, 15 years, the intimacy, the kinks, the seduction, this is the way to spice up the relationship, learn some things, learn some new kinks in the bedroom, and just really get more help on having a relationship thrive for the long haul.
So describe kinks. What does that mean? What are kinks?
I consider kinks to be what is not the social norm. So the role playing, the BDSM, the foot fetishes, things like that you keep under wraps. You wouldn't even tell your own best friend because this is just super naughty. Like that's what I consider a kink. Like if you're afraid to even tell your girl, that you all on some kinky stuff, so that's what I consider it with kinks. And just being able to just be open, and there is no judgment in the bedroom, just freedom, sexual freedom.
Now, a lot of people I believe, mistakenly compare kinks to what they see on some of the pornographic sites. So, so they think when you say kinks, they automatically go to whatever they saw or watched on Pornhub or some of those other sites. So, is there a difference?
Yes, there is. What you see on porn is not the same that you will see in the bedroom. Actually, when you dive into BDSM and actually even just looking into their community, one thing that they really talk about is self-care and aftercare, aftercare after having BDSM sex. So if you have, if y'all experience, playing with bondage, the aftercare part is when you hold each other and you make sure everything, you was okay with the sex act at hand. See, they don't talk about that. They don't show that on Pornhub. All you see is the woman tied up, she's getting beat, abused, and it just looks awful. But that's not reality. That's not how it goes. I mean, sure, there is some pain involved, on whichever end of the BDSM spectrum you are on, but it's pain that you consent. And that's the other big thing with that is that you're consenting to it. And the videos, they're just trying to make people get one off. It's definitely
Okay.
not reality.
So don't try what you see on Pornhub at home, okay?
Please don't.
Don't.
Please
That's for the
don't.
professionals in the movie. Okay.
Yes.
So what is BDSM for the audience, and what are the different spectrums? What are some examples of the different spectrums?
Okay, so with BDSM is bondage, dominatrix, uh, 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 how to say, sadism,
Uh-huh.
and machoism.
Right.
And basically, uh, you have it on the level of where you have your bondage, where you like to be tied. That's when they really get into the fancy knots. But then you have the S&M part where there is pain that's involved. So that's where your whips and your ball gags come in on that spectrum of BDSM. So you don't have to do everything in it. You can be at different levels at it, and it's all to what you enjoy.
Okay, so it's not everything. It's not all or none. It's you pick the pieces that you're comfortable with. So I
Exactly.
imagine that's a practice you ease into. I don't know. How do you have that conversation?
Oh, well, no, you cannot. That's definitely not something you can ease into.
Okay.
But people usually start. The one common thing that couples will start with when they start exploring with especially the bondage. Bondage seems to be the easiest one on the spectrum. The handcuffs, it usually starts with that, the blindfolds, and then it increases. Maybe a little bit of light choking during sex, during orgasm. But it's these little things that ends up happening. You're like, and both partners end up, they end up wanting to talk about it a little bit more. So you're at the table and you're like, honey, I really enjoyed what we did last night. So how do you feel about this, that, and the other? And that's how you get that open, and hopefully your partner will respond back honestly and tell you how they feel.
So I know you see a lot of movies where people use food during various kinks. So what's the most commonly used food?
Ooh, a common food. You always see the chocolate and the whipped cream. But now they expanded Nutella, honey. One of my favorites is actually having berries and fruit in the bedroom. It's something that is just so enticing about having a bowl of fresh cold watermelon at your bedside, or fresh cherries. And actually, because of the fact that they have antioxidants in it, it actually helps, and a lot of water, it helps with the flow of the sex in the bedroom. So those are some favorites. But another common favorite is oysters. That's a common aphrodisiac, and that's because it's high in zinc, and zinc produces testosterone. And so that's why. And then also, not to mention, is the whole act of eating oysters. Like the whole allowing the oysters to slide down your throat is seductive, it's sexy. So you also have those types of things when it comes to food. But I will say this about the sweets, right? With the whipped cream and your chocolate, it's okay if you want to eat it off your male partner, but with the female, keep it to the waist and above, like, because it contains a lot of sugar, and sugar produces yeast. So to err on the side of caution, just keep it out of the vagina, just waist on up.
Okay.
But berries are great.
Waist up for women, and wherever you want a degree for men, but waist up for women. Okay. Switching over to work romances. So are work romances a good idea with dating? Is it okay if you date somebody at work? What do you feel about that? How does that work?
Oh, I'm totally anti. Don't date the person at your job. Now, I would say I do know there are couples.
Repeat that. Repeat.
I'm anti.
Right. No peas in the payroll, right?
No. You don't. You just can't. You can't do that, because if especially if you see your person at work. I can see if you're at work and you work different shifts or totally different areas of where you're working at, but you don't see them at all. Okay, that's fine. But somebody that's really close-handed with you, medical field, you dating your co-worker, nurse co-worker, no, that's not cool. And for a couple of reasons. One being, you never get that time away from your partner. We all need time away from our partner, so that's one thing. Number two, if you're pissed off or it gets sour, then all of a sudden you gotta look at them at work. It gets real messy. And so, no, I'm not for it, but I do know relationships that have worked from it. So I'm not saying they don't work. I'm just saying that it can get messy. So be prepared. Be prepared.
So the berry aphrodisiacs and the fruit, do you wait till you're in the sex act, or one of the questions is, or do you use it in pre-sexual activities to heighten the sex act? So exactly when do you introduce the berries, the fruit, or the oysters to the sex act?
Okay, well, with berries, you can definitely do berries before the sex act, during your foreplay. So if you have some cherries, as for a female, the way she would eat the cherries, do it in a seductive way, use of the tongue. You are enticing your partner. You are using visual stimulation for your partner. Watermelon. You can use watermelon during the act. I mean, like I said, have the bowl next to you. You grab it. You feed it to your partner. Your partner feed it to you. You're kissing. It's just it's very juicy fun. That's why I really love juicy fruit in the bedroom, especially if you do it like you chill it real nice. Oh, it's just perfect. It's definitely a turn on. And then also, like, I've seen bananas. People use bananas, for sexual purposes, like in terms of like turning them on. Not saying that they're shoving it anywhere, but just for turning on purposes.
And if you do use it, don't put it back in there with don't put the unused fruit back in the kitchen for people, right?
Exactly. No. So one and done.
one and done, right? Throw it away. Take it to the garbage yourself, okay? So in the BDSM, I know that sometimes the S stands for sadism and sometimes submission. So what's the difference between sadism and submission?
Well, with the submission, you are daddy's girl. You are on your knees, and basically you are you're submissive. Whatever your partner says, you are basically you're theirs. You are theirs for the entire sex act. And I do want to say with this is something that you have to talk about way before safe words, consent, everything. This is really huge when it comes to BDSM, so it's not to be taken lightly. But yes, I mean, you're theirs, and there's nothing wrong with playing the submissive role. Sometimes you want to be submissive. Sometimes you want to be there to just please your partner, and that's it. Now with sadism, is more involving pain, and I don't want to say abuse, but it's more pain, and people get into that side of it, and yeah, it gets really deep. I would say it gets really deep when you get to that end. I mean, the width. And I mean, even guys like to be spanked, and women like to be spanked, and it's great, but consent is biggie. It's definitely, you have to talk about what you're going to do before you do it. Don't wait till you do it.
Okay, talk about it
Hmm.
before.
Yeah.
And should you switch roles in that? Should the woman do it once and then it's the guy's turn, or is there a favorite?
Well,
how does that work?
you can always switch roles, but usually, like, if you're going to enact in this for the night, usually you have your defined role for the night. Uh, it kind of breaks up the storyline, so to speak, when you change up the role. So if you're going to play the submissive role, you're going to play the submissive role for the night. And yes, men can be submissive too.
Okay.
Yes, men can be submissive. And I mean, men love it. So definitely don't feel anything about it. If you want to get spanked for the night and tied up by your partner, it is okay. But yeah, whatever role you're gonna play that for the night, and focus on that one thing. It's a little difficult to be focusing on two different things.
And what about fire play? Where does that fall in the BDSM spectrum?
With the fire play,
Yes.
oh well, I have to say, with fire, I can't really say I know too much about fire play. That seems a little scary. I'm like, are like, are they burning each other beforehand? And
I don't know. It's just a question on my paper. They didn't give me any specifics.
like I said, yeah, gotta give me some more. I mean, what's this fire play? Tell me.
So
hurricane, but
so whoever submitted that questions, if you would please send me some additional information, we can get you an answer. We got a watch group going on, guys. If you have questions, feel free to chat it, to put them in the comment box, and Al Jackson will let me know that they're there. But it seems like people are just mesmerized by the question. So maybe we can get the weekly sex percentage in the U.S. up from 69% after tonight. Maybe people just
oh my goodness. That would be so great, because honestly, the co-workers that are at work that are mean for no reason every single day, or just in the bad mood, it's because they're not having sex.
Okay.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. Okay. So, we mentioned anal a little bit. So what's the best way to prepare for anal?
Anal. So anal is another big hot topic, and so many people are getting involved in anal, and I'm so glad about it, because anal sex is just one of the things that's like, it's very, very stimulating and erotic for the male and the female. But to prepare for anal sex, it can be very scary at first, but usually starts with light play, finger play. When a woman is on top, the guy or female, they may stimulate the anus or whatever. You start with that, or you may get interested in like anal beads. And anal beads is like a quick way, just to start to see how you feel about it, because they start off small and then they go up in size, and you don't have to go all the way up, but it's just a quick way of stimulating, see how you feel about it. After that, and you have made the decision that you want to have anal sex, this is how you prepare. If you're going to have anal sex for the night, especially for the female, she's going to be thinking about it and stuff. You need to de-stress. If you're stressed, it's not going to work. It's just going to make it that much harder. So nice warm bath, light your candles. If you have to do some slight meditation beforehand, that's fine. But anal sex also is about breathing. And I'm going to tell you why. When your partner enters inside the anus, usually you are quick to tense up, and that's the wrong thing to do. So as your partner enters, you should be exhaling, because when you exhale, that's when you are at rest, you are relaxed. When you inhale, that's when your partner should stop. Inhale, and as you exhale, you move forward. Another thing with the anal sex, with getting into it, is women be in control of the anal sex. So I know some people may not agree with this, but I suggest starting with anal sex on top, beating the rider, because have you heard of the squatty potty? You know, with the squatty potty, it raises your legs so that you can go to the washroom a lot easier. But when you are on top, you are able to straddle and squat, and that enables the anus to actually open up, and you get better control. And the woman controls, or the man controls, opposed to the person, you know, that's penetrating, controlling. You know, it's like, no, you can't do that. But yeah, there's definitely, you have to be relaxed. That's the key thing. You must be relaxed. So whatever it is, your self-relaxed practices, do it beforehand. If you have to have a glass of wine, one glass, it's okay. You know,
One glass. Okay.
One glass. We need you with us. Not one glass.
So we've talked a little bit about love and intimacy and kinks. What about the eroticism?
Eroticism.
Yes.
Turning your partner on. Biggie. Men are visual creatures. So because they are visual, they constantly need to be stimulated, which is hence why men like video games. Okay. You see the 40, 50-year-old men scrounging for that PlayStation 5. It's because men are visual people. You know, they like things ooh and ah. So to turn them on, you don't want to, if you come home to this person every single day, 365 days of the year, and you see them hair wrapped up, jogging clothes all the time, they're not really making an effort, that's not really enticing. How can you get into the mood when you're not being stimulated and enticed? So when it comes to eroticism, ladies and men, you have to turn your partner on. And that's where something that I'd like to enhance on and talk about on how to do it. How should you dress up? Should you buy wigs? You should definitely buy wigs. Change it up. High heel shoes on, surprising them with the trench coat and you're naked. Even in the household, I mean, they're thinking that you're upstairs taking a shower and you're going to put on the same pajamas, surprise them, walk downstairs and say, baby, let's do this. You know, like totally just take their mind over. So that's where the eroticism comes in. And then also being, and I really speak to the ladies about this, really into your feminine role as a woman. We are women for a reason. And the way our body moves and our curves, use that to your advantage. Your partner will love it. You know, so that's where the eroticism and the seduction, they kind of like, you can't really have one without the other, you know, so I kind of put them together, but it's basically the teasing with it. Yeah.
We have a question that came in that says, should a guy or a woman share their significant other to make their relationship stronger?
No.
No. Okay.
No, definitely don't share your significant other to make it stronger. Reason why is because it doesn't work. It's fun for the moment, but if you have to actually share your partner to make your relationship work, it's not going to work. There's a different way of going. There's something wrong with the relationship. There is a way of going about, like, if you want to have a swinging lifestyle, there's a way to go about it, but that's not the way to go about it.
So how do you have a swinger lifestyle?
Definitely with the communication.
Say, hi, honey, I want to have a swinger lifestyle. How does that work?
Well, surprisingly enough, females are a lot of times the initiators. I know this may sound surprising. They may think that men are the ones that like to initiate, but usually the women are the one that has these visuals or fantasies of having another woman, you know, because women are sexy. So think about it. So it usually starts off with role playing in the bedroom, sharing that fantasy with your partner. And then from there, you know, it's like the next day, it's like, well, honey, were you serious about that? You know, that's where the conversation piece comes in with swinging. But before you even start swinging, explore with the fantasy part first. And I'm gonna tell you why. If you explore with the fantasy part first, after you orgasm, if you feel like, I shouldn't have fantasized about that. If you feel a certain way afterwards, then it's not something for you. It was just something in the heat of the moment, and it's a safe zone. You can have as many women in your fantasy in your bedroom as you want, and the next day you don't even have to worry about kicking nobody out and feeling no type of way. It's like it's safe. But if you do want to go to that next level and you have tried like nude resorts, swingers clubs where you just sat back and watch and you really have an open dialogue with your partners, then okay. But you ease into it at caution. And I say that, yes, with caution. So play in the fantasy zone for a long time first.
For a long time. Okay. So nude resorts. I mean, where are they? Do you just show up at them? How do you get invited to a nude resort? Everybody's going to say, the empowerment doctor needs lessons.
Oh, nude resorts are so much fun. They are.
Really?
Yeah, because you know what? It's something about just being just naked, and just being out in nature, But where you can find your nude beaches is in Jamaica. Mexico has nude beaches too. Brazil has nude beaches. But yeah, Jamaica is definitely big for their adult nude beaches. One in general, hedonism. I think people might have heard of hedonism. Yes. That's like a biggie. Yes.
So I'm the only one who thinks I may get bit by something and need some Benadryl. Okay. What about swingers clubs?
Swingers clubs is a little bit more harder to get into because with swingers is actually a community. So yeah, it's usually a community and they grow to know each other. So it's a little bit different. So usually you know about swingers clubs like through word of mouth, somebody that that might be into it. And then they give you the link or the secret, the secret code or whatever to get into their community. And so that's how you get into swingers clubs. So you really can't, I'm sure you can Google anything, look for one, but they are particularly careful about who they allow into the community because you figure when it comes to swingers, you're dealing with husbands and wives here and people who have been together for a long time. So they're not too, quick to just take in just random people.
So what are some sexual practices for couples to perform during impotency?
Well, it's so funny because there is one in particular, but I'm gonna get to that. But with impotency, now it's not the end of sex. Okay, you can still have orgasm with a partner that is impotent, but you have to really be willing to explore with your body. So a lot of touching, grinding, and this is particularly for the female hetero couple, grinding, touching. There's also what they call penis stuffing. And with penis stuffing, that is where they take the soft penis and they insert it into the vagina. Now, with the woman having over 8,000 nerves for her clitoris, she is able to achieve pleasure a lot differently than from men and a lot easier than from men. So the grinding, the stuffing, the touching, the fingering, these are all things that can bring her to orgasm. And then the partner that's impotent, usually they are very happy to see their partner enjoy them because they know that deep down, they feel a certain type of way of being impotent. Okay. It's not really hard. It's not easy for the man. It's hard, so they enjoy knowing that they can still please their partner. So if you are with a partner that's impotent, please don't toss them to the curb. It's up to you two both to still stimulate, and a woman can be stimulated, very easy if she knows her body.
So there are 8,000 nerves here.
8,000 nerves, yes.
Our biology
actually
failed me. What can I say?
Actually, yes, more than the male penis.
Oh wow! How many nerves in the male penis?
Yes, like 4,000.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't know. Okay. God. So now we know.
Yeah.
During the menstrual period for women, is sex harmful to the woman or the man?
No, it's not harmful. Well, okay. If you're in a committed relationship and you have menstrual sex, no, I mean sex while you're on your menstrual, it's not harmful. Okay, you know your person, but you should not be doing having sex on your menstrual with just somebody that you're dating, because there's always the potential for HIV and STDs and things like that, you know. But even though it's not harmful, I will say this: it's you should allow yourself to bleed for those 3 to 7 days. Allow yourself to bleed. That don't mean that you can't have sex. You can have sex like oral sex and different types of sex and still please each other. But I think that the woman should actually really give herself time to just allow her flow to flow, and just be good to yourself when it comes to the womb. But no, it's not harmful. It's not harmful. So if you choose to do it, just lay down a towel and have at it. I mean, women are very highly aroused during their cycle. So, you know, just
Okay. What are the dangers, if any, of polygamy?
there aren't there aren't any more dangers than there is of the monogamous relationship. Uh, when it comes to polygamy, and when people actually really dive in and study polygamy is actually another community. And the thing that works with polygamy is that they build a foundation and combine them with different families, and the families work together to grow as a big family. uh, of course, will there be jealousy in a relationship? That's with any relationship. Polygamy, monogamous. There's always, if your partner can't make you jealous at some point, then you got to evaluate that. You should still be able to feel a little something. Jealousy, you just can't ignore, but there's levels to it. And in a polygamous relationship, they actually raise great households. Children come out more well rounded. They have long-term relationships. But this is something that works for them, and so you can be in a monogamous relationship and that can be the worst relationship that a person has experienced. They be together for 30 years and it's the worst. So I won't say that there's any more negatives to polygamy than there is to monogamy.
And do women ever experience a form of impotency?
Yes, women go through impotency, especially if the woman is on any type of antidepressants, anxiety pills, anything like that. That is a true downer for a woman. So, ladies, if you've ever encountered a time where you just couldn't figure out why you couldn't orgasm, definitely look at things like that. Birth control definitely has an effect on women's libido. I know the gynae may say no, but it does have an effect. The double shot is one of them. It lowers the woman's libido and she has a hard time having an orgasm. When a woman is stressed out in her life, it's hard for her to even, get into it and orgasm. And actually, the clitoris does harden like the male penis. It's just a certain version of the penis, so to speak. So, yes. And when a woman is impotent, it will not, you know, get hard or erect.
Okay.
So yeah, it happens with women. Also, alcohol can do it too. So like the male version, of what they call it, whiskey, whiskey dick. That's what they call it when they can't get up. It's the
Right.
same thing. Women go through it too.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So off the alcohol we go. Okay. So
Well, that's why I said one glass.
that's right. You
Two
did
max.
say.
That's it.
That's right. You did say one glass. That's right. You said one glass and one glass only. Okay. And the last question seems to be, what makes a woman's vagina dry during sex?
Hormones is a big part of it. Hormones, especially as a woman gets older, becomes premenopausal, menopausal. You definitely have the lack of estrogen that provides the lubrication for women. Also, lack of mental stimulation. that is something that will definitely keep a woman from becoming aroused, because the woman needs arousal to become lubricated. And without the arousal factor, then it will be like the Sahara, And
Oh, that she threw her hands up. Okay. What toys do you recommend that should be in every person's nightstand in their bedroom?
okay, well, as much as I tell women about stepping away from the vibrator, every woman should have a vibrator. A
Okay.
small vibrator will do the job. I mean, but that's not the only toy. A woman should have a manual toy. A woman should have a toy when you just want a quickie, that 5-minute rollover. Um, those two, I would say, are good toys to have. I've seen a lot of gadgets that they have out here, and I'm like, oh no! Like, have you seen the one that sucks on the clitoris? I'm like, I'm so not with it. I'm just like, no.
That's like, no. We need a cross. No. It looks scary.
Yes. I'm just like, come on, So yes, yes. One small little vibrator and a manual toy.
And what about men? What toys should they have?
The sleeve. I'm all for the sleeve. Yeah. The men, yes. The sleeve is probably like maybe 4 inches or whatever. And it's like silicone jelly on the inside. And basically the man can put it on, and he uses it to masturbate. And basically it glides. It glides up and down. And, men, they love it. So the sleeve, if a guy is looking for his own, type of sex toy. But then also another thing that men should have are cock rings. I'm all for cock rings. I think every man should have a good cock ring in his drawer too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite lubricants? What lubricants would you recommend?
Right now, I am on Sliquid. Sliquid I really, really like Sliquid because it is organic, and they have like a huge line. Like, you can do your flavors, your berry flavors, but then you can also get more into it where it doesn't really have its flavor. It's more like mixed in like herbal, and it's just all of their lubricants are body safe, organic. I love that one. So that's what I'm on right now. The other ones, there's also H2O. That one is good. And then Astroglide. Astroglide is actually not a bad lubricant either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do the listeners get in touch with you?
Okay, well, they can get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook, so you can look me up, Miranda Wilkerson, Sexuality and Intimacy Coach. You can find me, type that in on Facebook, I'll pop right up. Also on Instagram, I'm on there as Yanni Desires, and basically it's Yanni_desires. So you can find me where I talk about women's health, women's pleasure, masturbations, and then with my sex toy line that I have. So you can find me on there. And then if you go to Psychology Today and type in same thing, Miranda Wilkerson, Sexuality Intimacy Coach, you can find me on there. And then that's where my clients can make an appointment, and Psychology Today gets in touch with me, and I'm able to take clients. Usually that's where I get my clients from, is from Psychology Today. Okay. But if they want to send me a message on Facebook, on a Facebook business page, it's I take it that way as well too.
We've had 2 questions that just come in. One is, what about dripping hot wax? So what about hot wax?
Hot wax is fine, but I'm gonna tell you about hot wax. Don't use the regular Bath and Body candle wax. Okay, let's be on our A game when it comes to the wax. So perfect wax are like your candles that are actually made for massaging, like your massaging oil candles. Oh, they're great. Yes, you can burn those, and you know when you pour them, because they even have some that's like made like as a pour spout, and you
Oh,
light your candle. Yeah, all you gotta do is
okay.
pour it, and this massaging oil is the greatest thing. So no Bath and Body candles, y'all.
Okay, all right. So, evidently, whoever asked this question needed to know. Okay, no Bath and Body candles. We don't want to burn anything up or anything. Um, what about? Is there a pill that men can take to become aroused?
A natural pill that men can take, or even I won't even well, you can find them in a pill, but you can also find it as a powder. Is maca, Maca, and actually in Peru they call it like Peru's Viagra. That is uh, a natural pill that can be taken that does not uh, mess with the heart and causes all types of side effects and stuff. Of course, you always talk about it with the doctor, but that is about as much as I can give in terms of like
Okay. I know, and
like this.
maca powder actually has some great vitamins and stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, um,
Yeah.
what uh, if um, what if the woman's vagina is dry? What causes this, and what can she do? We talked about lubricants, but what could cause the dryness?
Dryness, you have to find out like when you're experiencing this, make I would suggest doing first of all a vagina journal. Okay, take note of when your vagina gets dry. This age plays a part. Where are you at in age? Where are you at sexually with your partner? Does your partner turn you on? Are you mentally aroused? Stress. What is anything stressing you out in your life? All of these things play a part. And women, we get so detached from our vaginas and our womb that we don't pay it that much attention. But when you really pay attention to it, she will let you know exactly what's going on. So if you're feeling dryness and you used to be a person that was getting wet, you have to look at your environmental, your foods, your medicines. Medications is a biggie for causing vaginal dryness.
Okay, this was an incredibly interesting topic, and I have lots of notes. I want to remind everyone that Miranda is the founder and owner of Yoni, Yoni Desires, LLC. She launched it in August of 2020, so be sure you visit Yoni Desires. And as she mentioned, she does have her line of sex toys. So visit the sex toy site also, and feel free to make purchases if you like. And also, she is a sexuality coach. And I know we have talked about the questions, and they've been a broad brush over the answers. So if anyone has any questions that they need more information about or need to deep digger, please contact her for that directly, because of course that's something that we would not actually discuss in an open forum. We just wanted to open the topic up so that people could know that it is okay to embrace your sexuality. So any last words for us before we sign off?
Everybody, it is the end of the year. I always encourage my couples to take this time out to evaluate your relationship. And when I say evaluate, actually really evaluate, take, some time with your partner, see where you are at. Is there anything that you can improve on? Is there anything that you need more of? Is there anything that you need less of? As you would do, evaluating your life as regular, as a worker, as an individual, also evaluate your relationships going into the new year. And if there's some things that need to be worked on, I'm not into the New Year's resolutions, but just make it something that you want to do better in going forward.
And if you need any help with all of that, including your sexuality, be sure to reach out to Miranda Wilkerson. And you can do that through Psychology Today, or you can find her online by Googling her, or even in Facebook, and she will be able to help you with that. So thank you very much for joining us here today. This has been exciting, and we'll have to have you back periodically so we can have a sexuality sort of checkup, because I've got no fear like you would not believe. Like, but it's fun to talk about. And as I say, it's something that we don't talk enough about. And sex done incorrectly will ruin your life, and you can even run into diseases that there are no cures for. So it's a good, healthy conversation to have. So hopefully for the listeners, even though you guys were fairly shy in the chat tonight, I guess they didn't want people to know who was asking the questions. So exactly. If you have questions you would like for me to ask, you can email me. Or you can let me know, and I'll be sure I get them to Miranda. But we want you to be able to feel really comfortable talking about sex, because that's a vital part of who we are, as I always say, as well as how you handle your money, because that's a vital part of who you are. So as we say goodnight, I want you to be inspired into further notice. I want you to celebrate everything. Do not go gently into that good night. Find a heel worth dying for and take it, and be the person that you have been waiting for. Make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous, and above all else, do it your way. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor. And remember, as I always say, life is too short to drink cheap champagne. You guys have a great evening, and it has been a blast. Thank you, Miranda.
Bye.
Bye.
But life's too short to drink cheap champagne, so I decided to buy me a better brand.